It really is. We want to look at it as a time of healing, a time of whatever. That something like this could have happened is not even believable.
A time of whatever, you know. This is something that happened. He is incapable of showing grief because he's so narcissistic.
Charlie said, that there was no such thing as hate speech. He obviously, no one anticipated what happened to Charlie, but you have always been.
Wait, what?
Charlie said, that there was no such thing as hate speech. He obviously, no one anticipated what happened to Charlie, but you have always been.
Verbatim, I'm pretty sure there are people that have been fired for saying exactly that or much less. Bro, remember I told you he is incapable of showing grief because he's so narcissistic. He is utterly incapable of even weaponizing the situation by demonstrating sufficient grief and really whipping up the public. Because if he was capable of just being like, Charlie's my friend, I'm really saddened by this, I will never forgive the left for doing this, like that, stuff that JD Vance is saying and doing. If he was capable of doing that, I think there would be a lot more anger. There would be a lot more resentment. The reason why I suspect that this is going to eventually go away, and the only thing that people will remember is the frustration that they have for this administration cynically using the story to go after their critics, is because Donald Trump can't even develop the sufficient grief necessary to show how impactful this has been for him and to gear up, tune up the base to also feel angry.
There was no such thing as hate speech. He obviously, no one anticipated what happened to Charlie, but you have always been.
That's also directionally unclear. Do you see what I mean? That could objectively be a leftist statement. Do you guys not hear what he's saying? McCallum says, Charlie said there's no such thing as hate speech. Trump said he might not be saying that now, and starts cackling. It was more of a chuckle than a cackle. Yeah. Isn't this literally what the late night host was, Jimmy Kimmel was talking about? Yes. It's ironic because that is precisely why Jimmy Kimmel was fired.
But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. There's demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
It's crazy.
No one anticipated what happened to Charlie, but you have always been in favor of free speech. Yeah, so do you have concerns about, some people look at this and your critics will say, well...
What's crazy about this is that the Fox News hosts are so professional at this point at not getting fazed by Trump and just bouldering through the statement so that it's not clipped. Notice how she's doing crosstalk.
Did you see the guy the other day run through all the flowers that put down in loving memory of Charlie? This maniac runs through the flowers, kicking them all down and stepping and stomping on them. And fortunately, somebody grabbed him and gave him a rap. But the guy looks like a normal guy. And who would do that? I mean, who would do it?
I think this will all blow over quickly. The actions of Abbott are inherently Nazi-esque, but that's not scary for a simple reason, in my opinion. The Nazis successfully improved the economy and increased employment for the whites. This Abbott is making more expensive, has higher unemployment, while taking rights away for everyone. This is beatable. Oh, no, I agree. I mean, to be fair, the economy was in dire straits as opposed to the brief moment of industrial prowess. No, that's not suspicious. This chatter is not actually saying something wrong at all. He's saying that the Nazis were harder to defeat because they also did improve material conditions, at least albeit for a brief period in time, especially as a consequence of how bad the material conditions were already, that they were more difficult to deal with. They were more difficult to resist against. Whereas this administration is so hyper-capitalist that they're not even posturing in that direction. They're not even trying to improve white people's living standards. And therefore, that resentment will continue brewing. The Nazis weren't the center of a global economy, though. Fair. I've said this over and over again, man. The incompetence of this administration will hopefully make it easier to resist this administration's actions. Because even in the absence of a decent democratic response, it seems like they just consistently bite off way more than they can chew and then get yelled at even by their own base of support. And then when that happens, happens, they turn around and scale back. That's where Taco Trump comes from. Oh yeah, this is what I was referencing. This is what I was referencing when I said they don't give a like Trump especially. Maybe JD Vance is a dedicated brown noser, a sociopath, a career man. He understands like how he must present himself in this moment so that he can garner attention and good favor for his 2028 run. But Donald Trump cannot even get himself to care. Look at this. I can't even. God, this is such audio. Trump talking about Charlie Kirk Memorial. We look to it as a time of healing, a time of whatever. That's what he said. A time of whatever.
It really is. We want to look at it as a time of healing, a time of whatever. That something like this could have happened is not even believable.
A time of whatever. You know, this is something that happened.
Disney's CEO, Bob Iger, reviewed Jimmy Kimmel's monologue, and he thought that it was over the line. He's the one who benched him. Now that that's out there, your critics are saying, well, the White House and the FCC are intimidating critics of President Trump. Is that what's happening here?
No, I don't think so at all. We have a good...
Dude, this is so funny. He flexed on it. He demanded it. He got it. He got excited that he got it. Demanded more of it to other enemies of Trump. It's so unimaginably stupid that we're just having this back and forth. Brendan Carr straight up threatened to pull broadcasting licenses at Trump's direction. Trump enjoyed it and said it was awesome. It is ridiculous.
A group of people that do watch over this, as you know. Brendan is a fantastic patriot. He really is. And he's, I think, doing a good job. But he's done nothing that's over the line. He just says you have to be honest. I just had it a little while ago. You may have seen it. I talked to people about 97% of the things they say about me on television are negative. And, you know, how do you win if that's the case? And the credibility of television's way down, most television. You guys are doing a lot better. I disagree with your pollsters because I've always proven to be right on that. I would say your pollsters, I don't think your pollsters are any good on Fox, but generally speaking, and the anchors are, in every case, they're phenomenal. But you don't have that with other networks. I think that's why they're down. They're down so low in ratings.
Dude, do something good for once, man. Anything, please. I would love that. This motherfucker only does bad and then gets mad when a fairly servile media class accurately covers it. Like what? They're not even accurately covering it, to be fair. They're just not offering sufficient glaze. They're just not all doing what Fox News does. That's it. That's what he's pissed off about. It's so frustrating.
CNC is like a dead network. It's, if you call it cable, I guess. CNN is, it's really a crying shame what happened to CNN, but they're down, they're dead, nobody watching. And they're dead because they have no credibility. You guys do have credibility, and that's a great thing to have.
We know which hosts you don't like at late night. If one of these CEOs, like Bob Iger, called you and said, okay, Mr. President, Uncle, who would you want to see as a late night network TV talk show?
Well, you know.
Why is this a major concern for the quote unquote leader of the free world? No, uncle means it's a boomer. It's boomer speak for I give up. Okay. Calling uncle means you just are saying you gave up. But again, take yourself out of what you are watching for a brief moment and have a top-down approach. Just let's look at this with a bird's eye view for a brief moment. Let's understand the conversation that's taking place at a time when housing is more expensive than it ever has been in U.S. history, where the top 6 companies in the United States of America, all tech stock, by the way, have a collective market cap of over $20 trillion, which is larger than the entirety of the Chinese economy. Okay. The cost of living crisis is still ongoing. And the only thing that these guys have seemingly addressed is like minor culture war issues that are not pertinent to any of those problems, that don't actually solve anybody's issues in terms of affordability, whether it be incredibly important things like shelter or college education or even groceries. I'm sorry, but having a back and forth about who your favorite late night TV show host would look like is so insane to me. Electricity bills are out of control as a direct consequence of this administration's policies with data centers that are propping up left and right all over. And all of that is just leading to this like explosion of dog AI. Donald Trump is taking unprecedented steps in eroding the First Amendment, unlimited funds to Israel. Everything sucks. Everything sucks. Okay? Nobody's happy. Everything sucks. And the red meat that he offers the base is basically dunking on Jimmy Kimmel. The red meat that he offers the base is dunking on and engaging in mass apprehension of Guatemalans and Mexicans and Haitians around the country that are simply trying to make ends meet and have even less than Trump's base of support. What are we doing? What will it take for every single normie to look at this and go, this is completely ridiculous? Why the are you worrying yourself with dumb like this? Why are we supposed to sit around and be like, oh my God, Charlie Kirk was such an amazing figure. I can't believe how violent the left is. Like, this is a moment for people to wake up and realize that their neighbors, regardless of their political ideology, are not their enemies, okay? On the one hand, this dip in charge keeps repeatedly saying, oh, it's the country is so divisive because the left is so divisive. Meanwhile, that reflection is a way to beef up the tensions. That statement in and of itself is divisive. The president is saying that specifically so you think, if you are a Republican, if you're a Trump voter and you're in here, which not many of you are, obviously, but he's saying that so you don't pay attention to all of the real problems that you're experiencing. Part of the reason why the cost of goods is going up, cost of groceries is going up, is because of his insane tariffs regime too, which many Republicans actually did not enjoy, which is why he went back and forth on whether he was going to do tariffs at all. Not that it matters, because even that volatility caused a lot of issues. So yeah, I guess if you're in the top 10% of wealth right now that own 90% of the entirety of the stock market, as the stock market is like propped up by the confidence that it always has to be a bull market, therefore your net worth will grow. If you're a part of that group, an increasingly smaller number of people in this country, then things are looking relatively fine. But even though there is still a lot of political instability and you recognize it, and that probably frustrates you, right? And you are still impacted by the affordability crisis, and obviously it's less meaningful the wealthier you get. But the president is not even remotely invested in fixing any of these issues. What will it take for you to realize that this is no longer a left-right fight, and it never really was? People refuse to recognize this as an up and down fight rather than a left-right fight. It is not your neighbors that are your enemies here. It is not the random Guatemalan migrant that's just like working for pennies on the dollar that is the reason why you are experiencing unprecedented affordability issues.
I'd love to tell you that, to be honest, but all I do is I make enemies. They'll say, why didn't you pick me? There are people that have great talent that aren't being utilized right. And I'm pretty good at that. I think I'm good at talent. And you have people that are really very good. Now, if I name 5, and I could do that quickly, but I'm going to have 6 or 7 that are going to be really angry that I didn't name them. And so it would be a really dumb question to ask. You know, if I answered that question, I can only get myself in trouble. I will say this. You have some people that are terrific on Fox and elsewhere that really would do well. When I look at Jimmy Kimmel, he had no talent. He had no talent. He was a crazy... I don't know if you remember, I did a truth before he gave out the Best Picture Award in the Academy Awards. He hosted it. He did a terrible job. I said, what a terrible job he did. He's the worst host in Academy history. And this was during the show, and he saw it. And just before the climax of the whole show, like Best Picture or Best Actor, whatever it was, he read my truth, saying about how bad he was. And then, I dispute this. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. His wife was begging him not to do it. His agent was begging him not to do it. There's something wrong with the guy. When I look at Fallon, he's the most insecure-looking person I've ever seen on television. And the other one, Colbert, who just got...
Bro, getting mad at Jimmy Fallon is so crazy, from the right especially. Like, he is exactly what you want. What do you want, then? You just want Greg Buttfeld, I guess. Jimmy Fallon is basically the most apolitical vessel you could have as a late night talk show host. And the rest of these guys are also not exactly card carrying anti-fascist, radical Trentifa members either. Okay. But like Jimmy Fallon is basically the most milquetoast out of all of them. Every single one of them are vanilla from Jimmy Kimmel onward. But Jimmy Fallon is like the most vanilla, the most milquetoast. Like what the I just don't understand like what the expectation is here. That like every late night talk show host is supposed to be like a card carrying Fox News host or something.